Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, it started in the bathroom. Also, the Department of Justice wants answers from the Eagle Forum. And Attorney General Steve Marshall says he'll target VA doctors. Go all Rambo? Nah, Bo Peep. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and today I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, investigative reporter and columnist at APR. Welcome.
Hey guys.
Hi, everybody.
I'm just happy that Angie's not here, so nobody talks over me this week.
The emails do come. Hey, sort of a surprising development over the week, and this actually started happening in mid-August. But the Department of Justice has subpoenaed a ton of records from the Eagle Forum of Alabama and also from the Southeast Law Institute, which is headed up by Eric Johnston. And what the Department of Justice wants is all their information regarding the what is called the Vulnerable Child Compassion and Protection Act. Mm-hmm. Now, that is the act that makes it illegal for a doctor to prescribe treatment to children with gender dysphoria. Mm-hmm. It would send a doctor to jail for 10 years or so if they got convicted of prescribing medication for transgendered kids. Josh, this is actually a big deal that mm-hmm. They want all these records, they want all emails, they want all communications from the Eagle Forum and Southeast Law Institute with lawmakers mm-hmm. and with each other and all that.
Yeah, it is a big deal. This is one of those acts that the actual intent of the bill is opposite of the name, because this is actually not protecting vulnerable children. It's actually, as we've learned from numerous doctors who are involved with these treatments, it's actually putting children at great risk to suicide and other issues. And yeah, you're right. It's a big deal that we're talking about exploring the processes in which this legislation gets passed, and what sort of influence these various groups have, whether it be, and I can only assume that they are looking at possibly the religious portion of this, and what sort of impact religion is playing on some of these bills that are being passed, and how these groups are, helping out with that process. And I use helping out because I think that's the kindest way to put it. And we'll see exactly what the Department of Justice says they were doing, whether they term it helping out or something a little more nefarious.
Well, now, Susan, Eric Johnson, who is an honest guy, mm-hmm. You can't say, I don't have a bad word to say about Eric as far as being a person.
I could say something if you're looking. I mean, not about his character. No, I'm not going to say anything about his character.
No, about his character.
About
his character.
Yeah, but I will say, well, we'll get into issues of character. I think that some of the bills he's passed has harmed a lot of people, or has helped to pass, or has. And has written,
well, I don't find him a dishonest individual.
I believe he goes for what he believes in. Yes,
He does.
Yes.
Okay, but he admits, Susan, that the Eagle Forum contacted him to help write this legislation, mm-hmm. and that he was also in contact with the bill's sponsors, Wes Allen and Chris Pringle, during all this writing. Now, not unusual, is it?
No, it's not unusual for some of these groups or lobbyists to assist in writing bills. That happens every day because most lawmakers down there don't know how to spell, much less write a bill. So that
It's a little harsh.
Well, it's true. I've seen some of their spellings. So it's not uncommon. However, I think with this bill, they had to know this was coming. They had to know there was going to be some pushback from somewhere on drafting this bill to start with.
Now, earlier this week, we checked, and there have not been subpoenas filed for Wes Allen or Chris Pringle. They may be forthcoming. Who knows? Lyles Burke, a Trump appointee federal judge, had blocked the major portion of this, which is prescribing medication for transgender kids. But other parts of it he left in place. The thing that I always come back to, and I don't think this is a Republican idea or a Democratic idea, I think this is an American idea, that health, things within inside the family, decisions made within inside the family, should be made within inside the family without the government intervention. I mean, Josh, you know, this country is sort of founded on you get to do what you want to do as long as you're not harming someone else. But all of a sudden, the Republicans have taken on this nanny state of mind, which used to be the purview, at least some people believe, of the Democrats. And it's all on these issues of sex and sexual activity and things like that. I start to wonder if these guys aren't a little obsessed with this stuff in a very unhealthy way.
Yeah, I think there's obviously some unhealth there, but I also these are the sort of things you do when you don't have real policies, and so you attract attention to things that regular people, quote unquote, find icky or off-putting in some manner, and you distort them to the point where you can raise outrage over them. And that's what they've done with this. They've misconstrued this idea of what's taking place between these kids and their doctors. Nobody is doing anything permanent to these kids. They're just trying to help them through an extended process that goes into helping these kids that are having these issues. And it has been proven to work. It has been proven to save their lives. And not doing it has been proven to have the opposite effect. And so they have turned this into this icky sort of thing where we're protecting these children that are having these permanent surgeries done. And that's not happening anywhere in this country.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, this all started in 2016 with North Carolina's infamous bathroom bill. They wanted to poke their heads in everybody's bathroom and see their business. And you know, I'm reminded that Phil Williams, the former senator, he was the king of the bathroom bill here in Alabama, and he got so much ridicule because even the senators would say, well, Phil, you're going to put monitors outside the bathrooms to figure out who can come in and who can go out. And
can you lift your skirt there, ma'am?
Yeah, I mean, so we know that this is something that has been cooked up to try to rile the base, the Republican Party, and it has nothing to do with protecting children.
They can't go after LGBTQ community. That's not cool anymore. So they had to find somewhere to go with this idea, and they landed on children of all things.
Well, the children are our future. We must protect them and let them lead the way.
Right, Michael.
Yeah.
Or
pander by using them.
Yeah, exactly. Use the children. All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics.
I'm Donald Trump, and I love Alabama. As many of you know, there are few issues facing our nation as important as election integrity and election fraud. This is why the people of the great state of Alabama must work together to make it easier to vote and harder to cheat. So get out, register to vote, and get a photo ID so you can make your voice heard and decide the future of our great country. Thank you.
There seems to be a new wave of aggressive driving lately.
You see those people, they are the ones that are tailgating other people because they have to get to their destination now.
Weaving in and out of traffic, looks like they could care less about who's around them. There's no one else on the roadway. They're the only one there.
Aggressive driving can be the difference between life and death.
All because somebody thought they needed to be the front of the line and get there first.
Slow down. Don't be the reason that someone else doesn't go home tonight.
My dog Jupiter is frightened when I climb too high, the owl said.
check for monsters, Daddy.
I did, honey. There are no monsters. You're perfectly safe.
Protect yourself and those you love. Vaccinate now.
Welcome back to The Bee, the voice of Alabama politics. A lot of controversial issues this week that we have to deal with. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, Susan, has said that it will begin offering abortions at their clinics in cases of rape and incest or the life of the mother. This is a first. The VA used to never offer any kind of abortion counseling or anything, but this has been implemented at the federal level because of the states that, like Alabama, that have banned abortion even in the cases of incest, rape, and I think even the health of the mother is not really considered. But Steve Marshall, in all his infinite wisdom, has gone all Rambo and said that he would target the VA doctors. Now, if he targets them, they could face up to 10 years in prison. I don't think he could do that, but instead of taking logic, he's gone all Rambo.
Well, Steve, calm down. Okay, these are federal doctors. They don't fall under your same purview. These are federal lands. These are federal employees. Federal trumps state kind of in that, from my understanding. But yeah, I mean, they've said this. They've said that they're going to make this available to all states, to all of the military. And I don't really think there's anything the states can do about this.
Well, I mean, the VA said under the new rules that their employees may not be held liable under the state or local or regulations for reasonably performing their duties. But Josh, Steve Marshall's a grandstander. I mean, this is going to end up in court, but there you go.
Yeah, no, it's laws and stuff have never stopped Steve Marshall from pandering before, so why start now? Right. And that's all it is. He's not. If they arrest one of these doctors over there, they know that it's for show. And I have my suspicions that it's never going to be that's never going to happen. But let's say that it does, and this Susan's right. This federal laws trump state laws, and this is not something that's ever going to amount to anything in this state. And so we're talking about somebody just basically screaming at a windmill here to draw attention to himself and to prop himself up as, I don't know, some sort of a right-wing savior of some sorts. But the fact of the matter is, here's what gets me, is the majority of the people in Alabama believe that abortion should be legal in the cases of rape, incest, and the health of the mother. I think a lot of people in this state want limits on abortions, but I believe wholeheartedly, if you look at the polling on this and you look at what people believe and you look at the way elections are going around this country and even into the South and into red states, they want those exceptions there. They want that availability because they don't like the idea of children being forced to have incest babies. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Well, with Steve Marshall, let's keep in mind here, folks. The only thing Steve Marshall is railing against is because that gets him a step closer to the next highest office he wants to be in. He doesn't follow through on anything. He just screams about it and then goes to the corner and shuts up for a while.
Well, I said instead of Rambo, he's more like little Bo Peep. He's lost his sheep, but he's trying to find it. But you bring up a good point, Josh. Women are registering around the nation in record numbers, and it is being driven by the Dobbs decision.
Yep.
I mean, 70% of the new voters in Kansas, when they voted to keep abortion legal there, were women. And we're seeing that in state after state after state where women are registering in higher numbers. Now, we all asked our Secretary of State, John Merrill, if there'd been an uptick in women registering to vote. And he said that they did not keep records on whether it was male, female, or anything about race. He said they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Now, Josh,
really? He's got about a dozen or so press releases on his website touting the increases in African Americans registering to vote. So they're keeping up some statistics somewhere. It's just amazing that this was a Democratic ploy, that Democrats are building up this narrative all of a sudden, and he doesn't have any stats to keep track of it. It's nonsense. Of course they keep track of it. And we know there's statistics out there that say that there's been an uptick between 6 and 10% in this state. And obviously we know this is true. We know what's going on nationally. Alabama, while slightly different because we don't have the candidates here necessarily to attract Democratic voters, we do know that women are outraged about what's taking place.
Yeah.
And they're sick and tired of this stuff. I mean, really, people? Women are incensed, and finally, thank God they're getting to the polls with it.
Well, I think the one thing here is you can be certainly be pro-life.
Yes, you can.
And that's not a to me.
Hey, one of those lives is the mother's.
Exactly.
You know?
But that's what I was getting ready to say. But there has to be some common sense here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're hearing about 10-year-olds who get pregnant from a relative or something like that, or a woman who's having to carry a baby to term who has half a skull.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
And this is just lunacy.
It's barbaric.
Oh, listen, there was a lady, there was a woman in Nashville last week who nearly died at the hospital because doctors were afraid to perform an abortion on her ectopic pregnancy that was literally killing her. She sat there for 10 hours waiting on them to get a legal decision about this. This is Handmaid's Tale nonsense, and it's got to stop.
Well, I think one of the prophetic things in the Dobbs ruling is where I think it was Justice Alito said that women are not without voting power. And so I think we're seeing that women are around the country speaking their minds. And Alabama, of course, not going to change much because there's just no one to vote for. It's all the Republicans have pretty much sewed up everything, Josh.
Yeah, the way things have gone, a variety of factors have led to a pretty slim choice when you're looking for somebody to vote for, other than the most conservative person on the ballot. And the Democratic Party, for whatever reasons that have transpired over the course of the last several years, they didn't put out a lot of candidates. There are only a handful of options that are out there that people will realistically vote for. And, I'm hopeful that in the future, this will lead to something to build. But, man, it sure would be nice this year to have some options out there.
That would be. I think there'd be some changes.
Yeah,
I think there would be some changes.
I do think there are some common sense Republicans that see this problem. And if women would get on the phone and get into, talk to these people, they listen when you complain enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Throughout my career, I've seen many crashes, and a lot of the fatalities are from people who haven't worn their seatbelt.
Cars have rolled over multiple times.
I've had people end up in lakes, ravines. I've been looking for people in the woods for a couple hours before.
Usually just about every bone in their body is broken, their organs have ruptured, and typically they die.
You want to save a life, just simply click a button and put the seatbelt on.
Seatbelts really do save lives.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Speed is one of the biggest factors in a fatal car crash. Your car stops, but your body does not stop at the same time. Your body keeps going, and that could be running into your seatbelt, that could be hitting the airbag. Something has to stop it, and unfortunately, it's something very hard.
There have been times that we've come upon accidents where if people weren't speeding, they'd probably still be alive today.
It's truly dangerous, and it puts everybody at risk.
There's just no point to it.
This kind of stuff has got to stop.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Josh, you've done a lot of covering GreeneTrack over in Greene County. It's the oldest dog track, racing track in Alabama. It's the only minority-owned track in Alabama, outside of the Native American casinos.
Sure.
They did a 12-year-old tax assessment on GreeneTrack that basically, is an unfair tax to any business.
They guessed at the numbers.
Yeah.
Don't call it an assessment. It wasn't. It was a guess.
Taxed them at $106 million, and it's an ongoing saga. But this, one of the curious things, and you know this better than anybody else, is they're charging GreeneTrack this outrageous tax, who does have a constitutional right to have the gaming they have as far as pari-mutuel. But these other casinos in Greene County are operating under a different tax code. I mean, if Steve Marshall wants to do something, then make sure that they get taxed, that the Department of Revenue is taxing them the same way they're taxing a minority business in Greene County.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that the minority-owned casino is the only one subjected to a tax that, listen to this, is greater than 100% of their revenue. Yeah, that's right. Their tax bill for July was higher than their revenue. Not their profits, their revenue, okay? That's how much the tax on them is at this point. They've shut down essentially their casinos there because they are being taxed at this rate, and they're going to have to make some changes or just stay shuttered for a while until something else happens. In the meantime, all the other casinos around them are continuing to operate. It's one of the most unfair things I've ever seen, and I hope, listen, Steve Marshall, the governor, the revenue department, somebody needs to go over and do something about what's taking place here, because I got to tell you, you're looking at a federal lawsuit for discrimination out of this, and it seems like a cut and dried issue. If you're taxing somebody that's running the same business at a different rate, then that's got to be a problem that somebody's going to step in and solve. But this thing goes back to the Bob Riley days, the anti-gaming things, and they imposed this tax where where they get them is, and the reason why it's so high is because they've taxed them on essentially fantasy money, where if you put $1 in a machine and you win $10 and then you continue to bet that and you lose the $10, they tax you at $11. And the excuse is, well, the person could have taken the 10 out and left. And that's true, except the casino would have been able to count that as a loss, and it would have offset everything. The way they're taxing them, they don't count the loss. And so they're just taxing them at all this money. And listen, it's just the most unfair thing that I've seen in a while. And the thing that people really need to realize is you're 100% right about their constitutional right to operate these games. They went through the whole constitutional amendment process, the same one that you go through to sell liquor in your counties. They went through that process. The people voted it in at greater than 70%, and they should be able to operate this business and to avoid unfair taxes and an unfair system.
Susan, you were going to say something, but I don't remember. It's been a long time ago.
Understand, people. Listen, they're taxing them at 100%. Do you want your paycheck taxed at 100%? They're taxing them at 100% of their income. Nowhere in the United States is that happening. Nowhere in the world is that happening.
And I'll say too, they also prop up a lot of charities and things in that county. And so, there are a lot of people that are struggling now because this thing has been taxed at this rate.
If it were me, I would hire a slew of attorneys and sue the state.
Yeah.
Sue the state. Sue everybody. Everybody.
I don't, the fact, I'll say this, I've talked to Nat Wynn, who runs GreeneTrack, what he wants to do, and he's talked to everybody, what he wants to do, bless him, is to work this out and to talk to people. He wants to follow the law. It's what he's told them throughout this whole thing. Listen, I want to follow the law and do what you want me to do here, but we can't operate like this, and you've got to do something to make this fair. And he's essentially waiting on them to act and do the right thing.
And you've got these renegade casinos over there that have no constitutional right to operate, who are not doing, but they're not even getting taxed at the same rate.
They're not even getting looked at.
But this is outrageous. There is a simple fix to all these problems. get a constitutional amendment to let the people vote on whether we should legalize the lottery and gaming. Yeah, well, known to have a few.
Yeah, we have a bill that everybody likes. We have a bill that everybody likes right now.
Yeah, and the fact is that it's, we have a new leadership coming in the House. Now, we know that the governor's going to stay the same, and Greg Reed, Senator Greg Reed will stay Senate President Pro Tem. That's not been the problem. The bill that everybody likes has been passed in the Senate twice, right? Yep. Twice.
But once it hit the speaker's basket, that's where it went to die.
It has just died there. Now, you've got, a speaker's race is underway between Nathaniel Ledbetter, who is currently the majority leader, and Steve Klaus, who's one of the big honchos on the the finance
budget chair,
budget chair, and both good guys. But it's going to take leadership in the House to get this done. Everybody agrees that's not a fool that we need to do it, because we've got gambling, we just don't get a lot of money off of it. And it's just like, Josh, they started Top Golf down in Mobile to hope that they could bring in some of that casino money over there. Well, guess what? We could bring in a lot of money if you just get a bill.
We've got casinos everywhere. We're not taxing them.
God, you want casino money? Yeah, you want casino money? How about you open the casinos? I mean, it's just, God, what are you doing? Look, we're talking about roughly $1 billion a year in revenue for the state.
With a big
and we're talking about 15,000 jobs created from these resort-style places that are going to be opened around in these different casino locations. And what are we doing? We would bend over backwards for another industry that would come in and promise such revenue and jobs in this state. We would be doing flips and cartwheels, and we would give them millions of dollars to do it. These casinos don't want anything but to be able to operate. Let them do it.
Well, we just need a bill, and we need to vote on it. Let the people vote.
Yep.
You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.